I never feel like when I tell people that I'm bisexual that they believe me. I don't feel believed. And I feel like that's something where I'm just like, why am I explaining myself to you anymore when you think you already have the answer? My sexuality, I'm like, it's mine.
Sure. Yeah.
I can't care what other people think because they're always going to think something else and think they're right. So let them live in their delusion. The let them theory. Just let them think and say what they want, because at the end of the day, they're not going to live my life with me. I'm probably never going to see them again.
Wait, I feel like this is a little reunion right now too, so this is so much fun.
I know, we're getting a mix of everything. It's like reunion of us just seeing each other, and also it's our 2-year friend-iversary of meeting each other.
Wait, oh my god, happy friend-iversary.
Happy friend-iversary.
Let's talk about Sydney, World Pride, how we met, where we met, when you fell in love with me and Christine. And
that was the craziest trip of my life, because we did not know we were going until literally 2 or 3 weeks before.
That's crazy.
My manager emailed me and she was like, hey, so you were invited to Australia for World Pride. And I was like, what? She was like, do you want to go? I was like, I'll drop everything to get there. I truly didn't know what to expect because, one, so grateful for United, one, for bringing us on the trip, but also because it got us to you guys, which was like so incredible. But yeah, it was a whirlwind.
It was, right? But also I remember being at the airport. We were at the lounge. Christine and I were at the lounge. Y'all were at the lounge. And we were like, they look like influencers. They look like they could be creators. Do you think they're going on this trip? We were like going back and forth. And I think we talked about this afterwards, that you got kind of weirded out or something by us because we were like talking about y'all. We were like, should we go say hi? And we got shy.
Justin clocked that you guys kept looking at us. And then I was like, but Justin, are you looking at them or are they looking at you? Like, which way is this going? And he's like, well, I'm looking at them and I'm catching them looking at me. And I'm like, okay. So I don't know. Also, I think our not a red flag, but like our green flag was like, okay, they're the only other 2 people in this lounge. So why is that? Because I've been into a bunch of airport lounges now, and I'm like, these are crowded.
Yeah.
So why were we the only 4 in there at that time? And like we were getting such special treatment, and like, and then when you guys got on the plane with us to San Francisco, we didn't even think anything of it. And then when the person was like holding my sign that said Louis Levanti, you go, hey, and I was like, hi. And like, obviously we're very friendly. We're like, hey. And you guys like, are you guys the other influencers? And we're like, for Australia? And you're like, yeah. And we're like, yes. We did not leave each other's side since that.
We were obsessed with each other. I don't think in the itinerary we were required to spend all day, every day together, but we did. We were like, I'm volunteering myself for this. We were attached, and we have been ever since for the last 2 years. Is it 2 years now?
2 years. Literally 2 years now, because it's Sydney Mardi Gras right now, and that's what we celebrated. We celebrated Pride and Mardi Gras.
Tell me about your childhood, where you grew up. What was your upbringing like?
From Long Island, New York.
Okay.
I am from Suffolk County, so if anybody knows, it's Long Island split in half. I'm on Suffolk. I think it's the better county because it's closer to Montauk and the Hamptons and the wineries. But I grew up really close to the beach. I was about like 8 to 10 minutes away.
Okay.
My family life is very just like insane because I have 2 brothers. Okay. I'm the middle child.
Okay.
And I love being the middle child because even though we're like forgotten, I'm like, I think I'm just the best. So it's like, you think that'd be like an only child or like the oldest child. I'm like, no, I'm the best.
Right. You don't have middle child syndrome.
I don't.
Okay, that's great.
And Justin said that to me. He was like, you don't have middle child syndrome. And I was like, you have only child syndrome. Yet he has 2 siblings.
Yeah. Wow. That's hilarious.
So I have 2, I always say this, my 2 linebacker football playing brothers who could literally toss me if they wanted to as far as they wanted. Then I have my mom and my dad. My dad also played football. My mom played soccer. So guess what I played? Soccer. As a family, like our upbringing was very like, I think one thing Justin always tells me that he admires is that like we always work really hard because like I felt like my parents made me work hard for everything. Like when I would hear people being like, yeah, I get an allowance or this, I'm like, for what?
Yeah.
I'm like, I literally like
had to work for it. These are chores.
Yeah, they're like, oh, I unload my parents' dishwasher and I get like $100. I'm like, oh no, I have to do that.
Right.
Like I physically don't get paid for that. That's not a job. That is like just a house chore that I have to do.
Okay. Yeah.
So I think they really taught us how to be like humble, strong, hardworking.
That's good.
Focus on a lot of the important things. I think overall, because I know we'll get into this, but like my family is very accepting.
Yeah,
and
that's good.
I learned that the easy way.
Mm-hmm.
But I truly, like, I literally talk to my mom, like, every other day. My dad and I,
really
like,
sweet.
have a different relationship where it's, like, once a week, maybe every 2 weeks, or he'll call me randomly to ask about, like, how my car is. But, like, that's our conversation.
That's his like, bro time.
Yes.
Right?
It's, like,
way.
his check-in,
Yeah.
and then he'll tell me about something, and I'll tell him about something, and we're like, okay, good. Talk to you later.
Okay, talk to you in, like, a week or
Yes,
something. Yeah,
exactly.
Were you always, like, opinionated, outgoing, or were you more on the shy side?
Oh, I love this because when I was little, I'm so opinionated now.
Okay.
But I think I was still opinionated when I was little. But my mom always tells me I would never be vocally opinionated. Like, say a bunch of kids are running around and doing something they're not supposed to. Like, they're climbing on something they're not supposed to. My mom was like, I would instantly look at you. And she always tells me that I would be, like, staring at these kids. And then I would look at them and kind of be like, what the fuck are they doing? Like, kind of like that. And I was like, Mom, I'm still like that, but now I say it.
Yeah,
I was like, now I'm
so
vocal.
Before it was like vocally, but with your face.
Yes.
You were just like,
I was very
you should not be
facial
doing
expression.
Okay,
I think I didn't want to
yeah.
rub anyone the wrong way.
Got it.
Or cause problems because I think I was like still a nervous, shy kid internally, but I still had opinions.
Okay.
But now I'm like on camera, I'm on carpets, I'm sharing my opinion with millions of people.
Yeah,
Like
that's amazing though.
It's night and day, but it was definitely something I had.
Okay. Was entertainment something that you always wanted to step into or saw yourself as a kid? Is that like your dream job that you wanted to have, or is that kind of evolved as well?
It evolved when I was little. So
Okay.
I remember in kindergarten, I was given like a paper, and one of the questions was, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I knee-jerk reaction wrote that I wanted to be a singer.
Oh.
And at the time, I was like, why do you want to be a singer? Like, now I think I'm like, you don't know how to sing. You can't sing.
You're like
yeah, I'm like I'm bad. And the reason was because I loved Beyonce when I was little, like, so much. I still do, like, best artist ever. But, like, I had this infatuation with her when I was younger, and I loved watching her perform. And I loved watching documentaries and everything she was doing, all of her interviews. And now that I'm older, I look back at that, I'm like, did I want to be a singer, or did I want to learn about them and talk about them and was interested in entertainment? And because of that, as time went on, like, it expanded beyond Beyonce to all the award shows, to just reading pop culture news, to watching E-News, to watching Entertainment Tonight.
Right. Did you watch a lot of MTV music videos? Was that like your
Every
era?
morning.
Yes.
Every morning at 6 a.m. I'd watch the morning wake-up call. Yeah.
I feel like when I was growing up, I have very vivid memories of watching MTV music videos, same time, like getting ready, singing to my hairbrush, but it was very nostalgic now that you think about it. Like, music videos, they're still there, but they're not like on every single morning that people just absorb it all the time. But I definitely remember watching that and being like, this is amazing. I want to learn how to create music videos. I want to learn the storytelling. I loved it. It was like always something that I looked forward to growing up.
Well, I also thought I wanted to cook. Like, it was weird.
Which we'll get into because you're like doing burrito eating
I'm doing
videos
burrito
now.
eating now.
Okay, so it's all tying in.
And now I'm like, okay, maybe it all does make sense. But I want to be a cook. Like, my dad even got me like an apron for one of my birthdays. I wanted to be in science of some sort. And then I realized I don't like blood, and I was so over lab reports. I was like, I don't want to sit here and write what my findings were. I found them. Why do I have to write about it? Like, and then I went and was touring schools, and my cousin was going to be a journalist, and I was going to do science, and we actually swapped packets.
Okay.
And she was like, I think I want to be something else. And I was like, I think I like yours, like journalism. But then I went for TV. Okay. So it was like there was a different major.
But still there's a way, right, with like TV and journalism.
Yeah, you could do digital journalism.
Right.
But my major was specifically TV focused. Like, I was in a TV studio. I was learning how to operate cameras, direct, all that stuff. And then she went and was a teacher. So now she teaches.
How long have you been in LA?
I've been here full time since 2021.
Okay.
So end of 2021. The reason I think entertainment and my love for entertainment really glorifies LA, and like you think like, oh, I want to be in Hollywood where all the celebrities are and all the stars are, which very true for me. That is what I wanted. Because like, even though sometimes like the VMAs would be in Brooklyn, I'm like, I have to be in LA for the VMAs. But like,
I mean, if you're going to be in entertainment in Hollywood, this is the place to be. Like, we see the Hollywood sign right outside this building, right?
It's literally 8 minutes
insane,
from us.
Right?
Like,
that's actually crazy.
Yeah, and I feel like with that, my school did an LA program. So that was a huge selling point, where I came out here in 2019 for 5 months.
Similar to a field trip, or is it an extended?
Extended, like, semester. So I did the whole semester here, 5 months, just interning and taking like my last bit of classes because I was a senior. And it's how I ended up getting my job in the industry. But I got to experience LA, and I fell in love. I was like, I need to get here at some point. Monetarily, I couldn't afford it. So I went back and got a job in New York City. And then when the pandemic hit, I had saved enough money by working from home and not paying for anything that my mom was like, go. she was like, you can do it, go.
Wow.
And I left.
I think that's, what you said earlier. You said, I'm thinking about being a chef. And you said your dad bought you the apron, right? You said, I want to go out to LA. And your mom said, go, do it. I think that's really special. It kind of shows to what you were saying before, that your parents are very accepting and really supportive of you. And I know, you're out now to your whole family as bisexual. Is that something that, that they also express that supportive nature, or was that a little bit harder to get into?
When I was coming out, the first person I told was like my best friend Amanda, who I had moved in with. And I was like, oh, she's got to know, or I have to tell her because we're living together. And I think I owe it to her to like not be secretive and whatever. Right. And when I told her, she was super supportive. She's the best. Love her. But when it came down to my family, I did not know how to approach that because I don't think anybody in our family was LGBTQ.
Okay, yeah.
And I was like, there's no baseline for this. The only baseline I had was actually a friend of ours, a family friend, who he came out when he was younger, and like his family we're really close family friends with him. They were so accepting of him, and so was my family. So that was the only baseline I have. Was that like my parents love him, and he's not even their actual family.
Right.
So I would hope they would feel that way about me. I called my cousin Diana because she was my tester. Because I told her everything like about my life. Yeah. And she
you're like, this is my testing to see if you're going to accept me, and then I can possibly tell everyone else. So,
I didn't tell her that, but I told her after the fact. But I was like very nervous when I called her, and I told her, and she's like, she's like, I love you no matter what. And I was like, okay. I was like, you're actually my tester, because I was like, if you hated it, God, nobody would like this. Yeah. She was like, everybody's going to be fine with it. Everybody loves you. You're great. Like, it doesn't matter. And then from there I went to my brothers. My brothers were super supportive. Like, we'll beat up anybody. And I was like, well, I'm an adult now.
Yeah. You're like, okay, calm down. When did you come out? It was
2021.
2021.
I literally moved here and was like, oh, it's happening.
Yeah. You're like, not only am I moving to Los Angeles, but I'm coming out as well. So, okay.
It was a fresh start. And I felt like college was like that too. I went to college in 2015 and I didn't know a single soul. Okay. And it felt like a fresh start. So moving to LA in 2021 felt the same way, where I was like, oh my God, you're going to figure yourself out even further. Wow. And I did. I started hanging out with like a lot of LGBTQ people that I didn't get exposed to on Long Island. So it was like a whole new world. I'd never been to West Hollywood when I was out here for a semester. Got to experience and meet so many just really cool people who were just like so accepting. Everybody was like letting their freak flag fly, and I was like, wow, this is what it's like to be normal, like
to be accepted yourself right away. I mean, I'm from Tennessee, as you know, and for me coming out, it was very similar, where I had my first experiences in Tennessee, but it wasn't until I moved to California and I moved to San Francisco, and I put it on a Facebook post. I said, I'm gay. What are you going to do about it, right? I put it on Facebook. Like, why? Why did I do that? I was like, I don't want to tell every single person all over and over again. I did the same, where I was like, I told my sister, I told my parents.
You owe it to the family. You owe it to the family a bit. Yeah. I didn't owe it to some of my friends.
Okay.
Because I lost touch with some of them, and I was like, I don't really feel like I have to tell you. You'll find out with everybody else, which coming out is so funny to me. Like, I think about, like, it's such a great thing, but isn't it so funny how we, like, strategically plan how we're going to come out to people? Yes. I don't know if that's a content creator thing or if it's, like, a everybody thing. Right. Because I literally took my friend Amanda, I was like, we're going to go take photos. I need some good fucking photos, and I'm going to post, and it's just going to be a nice little caption, because I, like, wrote, like, this whole paragraph about, like, my journey. Okay, yeah. And then I posted some cringy TikTok that I ended up taking down about, it was, like, a sound that basically hinted that I like boys and girls. And I was like, I kept it. I was like, why did I do that? Yeah. That, like, took the meaning out of that.
No, but actually, then I was like, I think it's great. See, I came out, I was young. And so for me, it was like before social media, before I even had any kind of platform. So I was just like, Facebook, that's where I'm going to tell everybody. And I was just like, looking back on it, very similar. Like, why did I do that?
Why was that my route?
Yeah. Why did I choose to tell everyone all at once? But I'm happy I did that. I think for me, because there was more backlash in Tennessee, it was easier for me. And like you said, it was not everyone deserved me to just sit them down and tell them. But it's so funny that you did like a whole
I did like a whole rollout. I was like, okay, we have a strategic plan to the social media of me coming out. Yeah. I even edited down. I recorded my brothers, me coming out to my brothers. Yeah. And I told them later, I was like, you guys care if I post this? And I actually posted it, and I cried watching it back, because I was like, wow, like the way I felt in that moment, I could see my hands shaking. Yeah. Like posting it now, I was like, wow, that should have been easier. Like maybe because we are, as LGBT people, so scared of what other people could think of us, that when I did that and posted it, everybody was like, this makes me, I was getting comments like people like, I want to come out to my family now. I know they'll be receptive. I just needed this push.
Yeah.
And like, absolutely. To me, that's so meaningful.
Honestly, I feel like you should just bring it back. Maybe you could start a trend. Instead of gender reveals, we're doing like coming out reveals, and that's your way of doing it.
Here's how I came out to everybody.
Fireworks and like rainbow powder or whatever they put out there in the gender reveals. Imagine doing the whole thing.
It's just insane. But it was great. Everybody was so supportive. Like my mom was very much just like, she did do the whole like, we kind of had a question about it because like I had posted things with people who were like openly gay and I'd hang out with them and I'm like, they're like, not saying because you hang out with gay people that you're gay, but like the way you'd be in content with them or whatever. Sure. And I was like, but it wasn't, and I was like, oh, maybe I wasn't like hiding it very well, or I was just very free in that moment with that person. And I felt like I could be myself. And my dad, it was a little bit more emotional.
Okay.
It was a bit more like, we both were waiting for someone to say something because I had my mom kind of lessen the blow, if that makes sense. Okay.
So she informed him ahead of time.
She was like, hey, just, you know, like, this is what's going on. Yeah. Like, he's not worried. He doesn't want to just, like, spring it on you. Sure. So my dad FaceTimed me and sprung it on me. Okay. And was like, hey, I'm like,
he reversed it. Yeah. He was like, I'm telling you that I already know. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
He goes, why are we beating around the bush? He's like, what do you have to tell me? And I told him, and he started crying. He's like, I just never want you to feel like you could never tell me that.
Oh, that's great.
And it was great. And now like they love Justin, and like they love him more than me. Like it's not fair.
Like, I'm now the like adding another child in there. You're like, wait, I thought I was the
VIP in my house. That's what they call it. And he basically is like you know, you can be like a diamond member at the Hilton.
Right.
He's a diamond member in my household. My dad says, and sometimes if Justin does something like silly. Or like say he drops like a glass of wine, my dad's like, diamond status revoked. And I'm like,
that's amazing. Part of coming out too is a lot of times with the father, I would say, because you never really know if there's going to be that, I don't know if you want to say machismo reaction, but you know, there's a lot more of a stigma to it. But I guess with bisexuality as well, there seems to be there's always a lot more assumptions, and I don't even want to say misunderstanding because I don't think it's misunderstood, but I think that there's a lot more misassumptions, right? Whenever it comes to bisexuality, even in the LGBTQ community, I think a lot of times when people see two men or two women together, they automatically assume both of them are gay, right?
Yeah.
Is that something that that you battle with? Is that something that you have to address a lot, or
all the time?
Yeah,
all the time. With my parents, it was very simple. They were just confused, like, what does that mean? And I just explained it, and they're like, oh, so like it could go either way. I'm like, that's a very baseline level. I'm like, it's a spectrum, but I'm not going to get into that with you. Like, it's a sliding scale, blah, blah, blah. We've all heard it before. With other people that I meet, like, I think specifically I struggle a lot with, like, finding, besides, like, you and Christine and, like, a few of my guy friends, like, I struggle with finding my LGBTQ friends who actually understand and care about me when it comes to things like that. Yeah. Because whenever I meet people out or something and they're like, they know I have a boyfriend, they're like, oh, they're like, you're gay, right? And I'm like, yeah. I hate this because it's like, I never feel like when I tell people that I'm bisexual that they believe me. I don't feel believed. And I feel like that's something where I'm just like, why am I explaining myself to you anymore when you think you already have the answer? And isn't that like to me, I'm like, wait, but this is literally how I felt when I was closeted because I'm like, no, I'm straight, but they're calling me gay. So they already know the answer. So why are they asking me? Right. So now when I'm like, oh, I'm bisexual, they're like, sure. And I'm like, it doesn't even matter.
It opens the door for more conversation or questions around it when sometimes the setting isn't always there. I mean, I know it's kind of like dealing with no matter who you are in the LGBTQ community, it really just depends on who you're around and if it's a safe space to fully open it up. Sometimes I'm in an Uber and I'll be driving and they're like, oh, where's your boyfriend? And I'm like, I really don't want to explain it to this guy.
Yeah, you're like, he's not here.
Yeah, not here. My boyfriend's at home. You know what I mean? Sometimes it just doesn't feel like a safe space. But I'm sure, and I can imagine that it's very frustrating sometimes when you just feel like you constantly have to correct people. Even I make mistakes with that. I've made that mistake. I think I've even in our early friendship made an assumption comment of being like, oh, it's because y'all are both gay, you know? And I'm like, wait, no, I should rearrange my vocabulary.
But see,
like,
that didn't bother me.
Yeah, okay.
Because to me, it's like we had just met. And like, there's people that I see all the time. And like, even like, I had someone reach out to me because like, when I make content now, sometimes I just say gay because like, it's just easier for me not to have to explain it. But then I'll post that and I'll have a friend message me and be like, oh, did we change? Like, are you coming out? I'm like,
okay. You're like,
I'm like, you're not understanding. I'm like, okay, because now if I say I'm bisexual, I'm going to be met with hate comments of people being like, no, you're not. Yeah. So then I'm like, well, then I'm not I'm too straight for them, or I'm not gay enough, or like,
Right.
it's just like, it doesn't make sense to me in my head. So I think when it comes to like my everyday life in general, and also with like my sexuality, I'm like, it's mine.
Sure.
I can't care what other people think, because they're always going to think something else and think they're right. So let them live in their delusion, the let them theory. Just let them think and say what they want, because at the end of the day, they're not going to live my life with me. I'm probably never going to see them again.
Right, right. And I mean, with your friends and everything, it's a little bit more of a conversation, I would imagine. And then most of your friends are pretty good about it, like kind of checking themselves in a way.
Yeah, like if I hang out with you and on a regular basis, we've had the conversation.
Okay, that's
like
good.
The conversation's bad. Like the friend who messaged me was like, "Oh, I just want to make sure like I understand."
Got it.
Like, because if you are, like, that's a huge step.
The LGBTQ community and or allies, right? You know, the conversation around one's identity and being able to have an open mind and being receptive, that sometimes you make mistakes. And I think that that's how we all learn from each other, whether it's pronouns, whether it's our sexual orientation, whether it's our backgrounds. I think being able to just say, hey, just so you know, I'm bisexual, or I might go by this pronouns, or I think that is such a great way of being able to just like lightly correct someone, and then gives them the opportunity to be more mindful of that in the future. And I think that's all something we need to be better at in general. So that's why, I think that it's really special hearing your story too, because I'm sure even in mainstream media, I would imagine that you feel an underrepresentation almost.
I was trying to think of any bisexual characters that I can like think off the top of my head. And I think I thought of one.
Okay.
And there's definitely more. I think I just forget things very easily. But the one I thought of, because I had just watched it, was in Bridgerton. I'm pretty sure, I forgot which brother it was, but the one that was like sleeping with a man and a woman. I'm
yes.
I forgot his name, but he's
the artist.
Yes, and he's next.
Yeah,
his season's next. Loved watching that, because you can kind of see the battle internally. And that was like something I remember having in college, where I was like, I wish I had this show in college, because I felt like, oh, I'd be like seeing women, or wanting like seeing women, but also seeing a woman with a man, being like, why can't it go both ways? That when I was watching that, I'm like, oh my God, this is like how I felt. I was like, is it weird for me to do this, or do I like this?
Right.
And watching that journey for him, and I can't wait to watch whatever's to come, I'm like, yeah, this is something I wish I saw more of, at least when I was younger.
What I like about that show too is I do think that there's a really beautiful way that it portrays it. It's almost in a way that he is an artist. It's very freeing and creatively expressive, which I think is really beautiful, because that's also in a way sexuality, right? You're just truly expressing yourself. And so I really like that they made his character an artist, because they're very in tune with their surroundings and people, and being mindful of what's beautiful.
I also like that they didn't, I mean, let's wait till you get to the season, but
Speak too soon.
I liked that they didn't overly sexualize it.
Yeah.
Like they didn't make us watch anything or like drop something on us. Like there was one scene I know when he was like in a house and like one of the guys was making out with another guy or whatever it was. And I'm like, yeah, but that's normal. We've seen that.
Yeah.
But like I liked that they handled it very delicately.
Yeah,
because I feel like a lot of time people, I think of all LGBTQ people, were assumed, everybody in their head has this assumption of what it means to be LGBTQ, and it's always something to do with sex.
Hypersexualized.
It's never about love. It's never about like compassion and partnership. It's never about caring for someone. It's always like, well, they're having sex with each other. And it's like, you don't get it then. Like you don't get love at all.
Right.
Even if you're married, I'm like, maybe you don't get it if you have that wrong mindset of like, it's all about the sex. It's there's so much more.
Absolutely. And I do think that that is another misrepresentation when it comes to LGBTQ in television, movies, whatever it might be. As lesbians, it's, you know, sometimes being overly eroticized. And I'm like, I just want to be a lover girl. That's all I want to do. I just want to like have my flowers. You know, I want to go and watch like cute rom-com movies. And like, that's what I also want to see in characters on TV, is that they can just have those loving relationships without it all being eroticized. And
I'm predicting with this season, if it is about him, like, I think it might show us that like sexuality is truly ever evolving, because it's like, again, like to my friends being like, oh, are you gay now? Are you bisexual? I'm like, I think it changes with how you're feeling on a day-to-day basis sometimes. I could be wrong about that, but like I always am just like open to like my journey, because it's like I have a boyfriend, like I'm not leaving. Like it's just like people will be like, well, you're gay, you have a boyfriend. I'm like, I'm still comfortable in my relationship enough with him to still have attraction to women. We're never breaking up. If we, God forbid, did, who's to say that like I would go back to trying to see women? Maybe being with him brought me on a different journey. Like,
fair.
But we're never breaking up. That was just an example.
Right. that's actually really helpful for a lot of people because I think sometimes we all put ourselves in a box too. Even for me, when I first came out, it was terrifying to come out as a lesbian. And then I still to this day, now that I'm much more comfortable, and I do know that I more lean lesbian, but I still find men attractive. I don't think that I could ever date one because emotionally or mentally for me it's not there, like the next level of attraction. But physically I can appreciate a good looking man, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
I don't think I would want to like go any further than that, but and I think that that's what is so beautiful about the changing landscape of the LGBTQ community is being able to have those conversations, because I think 10 years ago it was either you're this, or you're this.
Yeah.
And that's it. You don't get to have that fluidity. And I think now being queer and having that fluidity is so special. There's a new research or a poll that just came out that 1 in 10 people are like are queer, like openly queer now, which I think, you know, 10 years ago, I think it was like 3% of people, and now it's 1 in 10. And I'm like, we're taking over.
Yeah, we're finally coming to our own.
Yeah, and I'm like, give it 50 years, we're all going to be gay. And
Yeah.
I'm here for that. We're
I think
queer.
everybody's a little bit.
Yeah.
That's a
we'll all be
hot take
queer.
apparently to some people. I'm like, I think everybody's a little bit. Like,
Yeah, well, I think that's the spectrum too, right? Because
yeah, like you don't have to be like
right.
romantically in love, but like bros like love each other. Like y'all love each other.
Right. You can admit it. Like, it's not.
You think your bro looks good and you slap his butt when you play football. Like you're a little bit, you might be a little gay, but like you don't love him like that. You're just engaging in a little bit of LGBT plus activity.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that.
No, literally, there's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with
like
it.
You thinking there's something wrong with that leads me to believe that there's more to the story that you will unpack sooner or later.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's their journey.
I digress.
That's their journey.
That's your journey.
Well.
I'm not going to bully you for it because I'm an adult.
Does your queer identity influence your creative side, and especially going into content creation? Is that something that influences your content, or is that completely separate for you?
It's completely separate, but I don't want to say it's to a detriment, but it's to like it's untapped for me, where I feel like I do have a unique perspective on just like my journey and like being bisexual, being a part of the community, and just everything I've gone through. I feel like I wish I could talk about it more, but I don't know if I have that audience that welcomes that right now. Not that they don't welcome LGBTQ, but they're there for the pop culture.
Okay.
They wouldn't resonate, I think, as much with it. But that's also not to say I don't want to make sure I find in that audience, because I think one thing I struggle with is like a lot of my fellow creators, like I think you and Christina are a great example. I think there's some New York creators who are LGBTQ. Like it's a part of their content where they're able to use it to elevate their other types of content. And I feel like it brings them not only more opportunity, but a wider net of audience where like they're not neglecting anybody. I want to be in those spaces. I want to be with my people.
Right.
So like to say it's separate right now is a bummer, but like how, again, I'm burnt out too. So I'm like, God, it's a whole other pillar of my content that I want to work on. But my goal is to start figuring out how I can use my story to like build into not only my pop culture content, to amplify LGBTQ entertainers, hosts, actors, musicians, like what's my way of doing it, and also being genuine.
Well, I also think that in a way, all of us, our sexuality is just one facet of our identity, right? And I think there's this like misunderstanding with LGBTQ people that it is the majority of our identity, when I'm like, no, I mean, I am a lesbian, but it's not everything that I am. I am also an artist. I'm also a photographer. I also love speaking. I love going on red carpets. I love being a part of the entertainment industry, but I love to travel. And there's so many things about all of us that make us who we are. Just being queer is a part of that, right? Like one piece of it. But I also think that with, the way that entertainment has been for so long is that we were told that you have to make that or not at all, right?
Yeah.
You're either openly queer and that is your entire platform, or you're not at all, right? And I do think that's changing. I think you being who you are truly, and it still being a part of your identity, but it's not every piece of content that you create, is still so special and needed, because it's representation where it doesn't have to be like all in your face. It doesn't have to be every single aspect of your content, but it's still a piece of it. I don't just have to
talk about it. Like the way I feel is like right now, my audience knows I'm LGBTQ. They know I'm bisexual. Right. So like when I'm speaking, I think when I first started my content, I wasn't as free.
Okay, yeah.
And now like when I speak about like fashion, like I don't care what flies out of my mouth. Like it could sound like the most like feminine, flamboyant thing. I'm like, but that's who I am. Like, and I think that a lot of people are like, I love your reviews because they're so honest. I'm like, but they're also so just like free.
Okay.
It's like I can be like, yeah, slay, like, but when I was first starting, I wouldn't even say that. I'd be like, oh, this looks fine. Yeah. Like, I'm like, yeah, ugly. Like,
is there something that you would give as a piece of advice to someone that's kind of looking to open up about their identity?
When I first came out on social media, I got so many DMs, and I remember there was one that was like this long paragraph. I don't remember it verbatim, but they were basically just saying like, they feel similarly to how I did, and like how they just felt like they weren't sure if their family was going to accept them, and they also just like have been battling it for a long time. So I battled it. I think I started battling it once I actually left high school, because in high school I actually didn't think about like anybody. Like I was like, I have to get good grades, I have to get to college, I have to be a good athlete. Didn't even think about like dating, and if I did, it was weird.
Do you think that is subconscious part of your queer identity, where it was almost like you didn't know what was an option, or is
I almost felt like it didn't matter. It
wasn't
just, like,
at your
didn't matter to me. Like it
yeah.
almost like, because I remember at one point I was dating a girl, and even in that moment, I was like, I'm too busy for this. I'm like, I was like, I was like, I don't even want to text you. Like, I didn't want any of that.
Okay, fascinating.
I didn't want anybody.
Because I know a lot of people deal with compulsive heterosexuality, where they feel like society says you have to be with someone of the opposite sex. So I just didn't know if that was something that you ever kind of went through. But it sounds like
it was like me and this person dated for I think like a couple weeks or something like that, and I was like, God, I don't want to date anybody. I'm like, I don't even want this. I'm like, I have to get to college. When I was in college, I was more pursuant of women and men. I think it leaned a little bit more towards men, but it was because I was friends with a lot of like gay men.
Okay. Yeah.
But I also was like, oh, they're just welcoming me. Like, hey, yeah. But it was definitely something I didn't care about. So this person, I told them, I was like, it's truly when you decide when you want to come out is on your own timeline. I felt like a lot of times people would try to push it on me and be like, well, are you? We heard this, we heard that. I'm like, I am not saying anything. Like, I have no clue. Like, I think that was one thing I would say in college all the time was like, I'd either say, no, I'm not gay, I'm not bisexual. But there was one time someone brought something up about like a hookup, and it was like with their friend, and they were like, did you do this? And I'm like, and if I did, what's the problem? And they're like, well, there's no problem. I'm like, then why are we bringing it up?
Right.
I was like, if it's a good thing, then like,
I actually like the question back. Well, and if
they were like, well, yeah, and they're like, well, we're just wondering, and I'm like, wondering what? And they were like, I was like, are you asking me if I'm gay? And they're like, yeah, and they're like, we're just wondering because you like hooked up with our friend. I'm like, I was like, I don't know. I was like, I actually don't know. I'm just having fun.
Right.
Like, I like truly don't know.
Okay. Yeah.
And then I like, there was so many years in between me coming out then.
Sure.
And then, but to that person, I was like,
that.
it is such a journey that it's going to be like almost like a roller coaster. There's going to be ups, there's going to be downs. You're going to be spun around, flipped upside down.
Right.
But like when you get to the end of the ride, which is you coming out, like you'll feel so much better about all the things that happened before.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't have come out if I didn't have those experiences of like being called out or like sneaking around or all that stuff. And I think people put such a toxic, negative connotation on that. I'm like, no, you need those things. You need to experiment. You need to figure yourself out in order to come out. Right. In my opinion. Yeah. I think for me personally, that was a journey I had was like, if I didn't do any of those things, I would still be closeted today. Like I would 100% not have come out because I wouldn't have known what I liked and what I didn't like.
Right. Wow. Well, I love that. I mean, you've been in a long-term relationship now with Justin for how many years?
3.
And you just had your anniversary.
We just celebrated not only our friendiversary between us, and now it's me and Justin's 3 years of dating.
That's so cute.
Yeah.
Like, how did y'all meet? For everybody who hasn't heard this story, because it's one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's such a silly story. Like it's not like romantic or anything. But me and Justin actually met out at the Abbey. We were at the Abbey. I thought it was.
What do you mean? That's like the most romantic way to meet someone.
Not this day. Not this day. I thought it was at Rocco's, but I met him at the Abbey, and I was with a bunch of people that he knew. And I think he was with another group. They all kind of intermingled. There's like easily 30 people that knew each other. And he likes to say that he saw me just standing there and was like, oh, he looks scared or whatever. I was analyzing the situation because I was new.
Okay.
But he had heard about me through their friends and that I was new and that like to make it a good time for me, which made me feel good that like they were talking about me, but in a way to like, oh, he's new. Like, let's bring him in.
Like inclusive?
And very inclusive.
Yeah, that's good.
And he came up to me and he goes, you're like with the wrong people. He's like, you're with a bad group. Like, let's go get a drink. So we went over, we got a drink at the bar. We chatted, exchanged numbers. And then he ended up leaving. Mm-hmm. So I was having a great time with him, but I knew him for about 20 minutes.
Okay.
So I was like, oh, I guess this is just like one of those things where you get everybody's Instagram, you get everybody's number, like you find out later who you actually will talk to. Fast forward to like 3 days after that. That was Halloween, by the way.
Okay.
Like I met him on Halloween, so I'm like in a Squid Games outfit. He's in a cowboy hat. And I was like, this is strange.
That's actually really cute, though.
It was cute. We have a selfie of it somewhere that I'll send to you. But then he left, and 3 days later was like a Wednesday. Mind you, I'm in between jobs because I was transferring to my job out here. I had 3 weeks off. And my friend Trent goes, hey, we're all going out. Okay. I'm like, who's we all?
And it's a Wednesday.
And it's a Wednesday.
Okay.
He goes, it's LA. Like everybody goes out on whatever day they want. And I was like,
okay.
This is what it's like to be an adult?
Okay.
I forgot. So I had nobody to go with, and I was very hesitant of going out with people I don't know.
Okay.
And so I texted Justin.
No.
Yeah, I had his number, and I was like, "Who is that guy?"
I love that you texted him. That's very bold. You didn't do the DM. You didn't.
I didn't give a shit.
You were just like, "I'm texting."
I was like, "Oh, I have his number. He gave it to me for a reason." So I said, "Hey, are you going out with those guys from the other day?" He FaceTimes me.
No, he did not.
No text back. No, nothing.
Honestly, that's very Justin.
It's boo, 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 boo. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like holding it like it's like toxic. I'm like, what the hell's happening?
Someone take this from me. Yeah. Throw it out the window.
I almost like threw it out the window. And I answer the FaceTime, and he just starts talking to me. We had like a 30-minute convo. He was
on FaceTime?
On FaceTime. He was venting to me about stuff. I was talking to him about like Amanda, because he was like, who was that? I was like, oh, it was my roommate. And we were just like chatting about stuff. And he goes, I'll come pick you up. Actually, come here, and then I'll drive us to the bar.
Love your impersonation of him is so spot on because it's like quick.
It's like he has like an anxiety attack in the moment. He's like, I'll come get you. Actually, no. Uber here. I'll drive. I'm also hungry. And I was like, okay, I'll just get there. I get there. We go out. But before we go out, he has to stop at McDonald's.
Okay.
Which I come to find is a very normal thing for Justin to do. And we get a chicken sandwich. We go to the bar. We drink. We're having a good time. We go to an after party.
Okay.
On a Wednesday. And we're hanging out the whole night, and then after that, we hung out every day until I think we had some separation, but like mostly every day we were inseparable. And then we started dating February of 2022. And I also was like, I'm never getting married.
Yeah.
And now I'm with him for 3 years. I'm like, can you imagine being with him for 3 years? You know him.
No, I love him.
God,
I love both of y'all together.
But he's insane.
Being with y'all together also is y'all balance each other so much. And in a way, you'll bring out the best qualities of each other, which is like why the four of us are always together, because honestly, we just all have such a good chemistry. I would say.
I have the best time. Like, we truly have the best time with you guys. Like, we could hang out with you guys for days on end. Yeah. That I think that's why, bringing it back to the beginning of the episode, why we had so much fun in Australia was because not only were you guys strangers, and we're very good at becoming friends with just random people.
Right.
But we also had very similar dynamic where it's like, we always like to say like Christine and Justin are the same person, and I mean you were the same person, which worked out so nicely because like we would hang out and talk like business and like being like we would be very like just on at all times. And we're like I'm Capricorn.
I'm an Aries, but
Aries, but like I'm Aries rising.
Sure. Okay,
so like we both were very just like collaborative and like always talking, yapping, whereas they were just like vibing in the back.
They're like up to no good. They're doing the most random bullshit. They're honestly mischievous. Both of them are mischievous. You and I are like, we have to do XYZ. This is the ideas.
Like,
I have ideas. Yeah.
But then we would flip, and you'd be hanging out with Justin, and I'd be hanging out with Christine, and I felt like I was hanging out with Justin. Like, I was like, Christine is literally Justin in another person's body without the anxiety. I feel like Christine is very mellow.
Yeah.
But Justin's like crazy.
Yeah. No, honestly, every time that we hang out or maybe y'all sleep over, we have like a slumber party, the next day I'm like, I need to just tell you I love you so much. Yes. I'm going to text you. I'm like, I love you. I just want to tell you. That's so funny that he FaceTimed you. I keep thinking about that because FaceTime is like something that you do after you've been with someone for a long time. Like even my best friends of 10 years, I don't FaceTime. I'm like, you can text me. Tell me what you want.
So that's why I was like holding it out. Because I'm like, as if he could see me. Or I was like, why the fuck is he FaceTiming me?
Hello? And the worst thing was if you were to answer it and it would be like a butt dial. How embarrassing would that be? I'd be like, no.
Even I said it because Amanda comes in, she goes, who are you FaceTiming? And I told her, and she goes, who the fuck is that? And I'm like, I was like, literally don't even know.
You're like, I
literally
just met this guy once. Yeah. That's hilarious.
She was like, I should have known then and there.
Yeah.
Because I don't even FaceTime. If somebody FaceTimes me and I really know them, I don't answer it.
Yeah.
And she's like, for you to be FaceTiming him, I should have known from day one.
That's really cute, though. And this was your first long-term relationship with a man? Or because I know you said that you've had experiences. First relationship with a man ever.
Wow. Okay. First, like, real relationship with a man ever. I talked to men in college. I had, like, hooked up and slept around with men, but, like, I'd never, like, long-term dated someone. Sure. Like, I never put a label on anything. I just left it because I was like, I'm having fun.
Right.
But he was, like, the first person I was like, I actually do like you. Like, and I never thought that.
Yeah.
Everybody else was like, it made me realize that everybody before him that I had been talking to or seeing or whatever it was, like, I didn't actually like them.
Okay.
I was just like, whatever. I feel like I
time.
have to do this. I always feel like it's like a checkbox of life. Like, there's check boxes. Like, that's checked off.
Okay.
I'm like, I have him. I'm so happy with him. He's my biggest supporter. He always lifts me up when I'm down. Even he like throws a little jab at me here and there. I'm like, but it's like out of love. I feel like being just us, because there's always been the talk of like polyamory and like open relationships and things like that ever since I moved to LA.
Yeah.
I did not know what that was until I moved to LA. I didn't realize it was so much more complex. And I remember when me and him weren't dating, a lot of people would be like, oh, like if you date someone, would you be in an open relationship? And as they explained it to me, I actually made a video about this. I talked about how I was almost like disgusted by it, which I know is wrong. Like, I was like, now I know, as I was educated, I was so against it because I was like, what do you mean you're with this person that you love so much, but you're also sleeping or doing other things with other people?
Sure.
Learning that there's rules to it, and sometimes it's not sexual with this person, and you like to do those things with other people, but it's like
fair.
There's so much to it. With us, that's not our journey, and we're very confident in that. We've been realistic with ourselves, where Justin's like, who's to say in like 5 years we think differently?
No, absolutely.
And I was like, no, 100%. I was like, but I think where we're at now, we're good.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't feel like I'm lacking anything anywhere. I was like, if you do, and he's like, I'm not. I'm like, we're good. Like, it's fine. I think we're both very confident in each other, and like, but also like, I know we both love to like have attention, because Justin will be like, you have a really hot boyfriend. I'm like, and I know I do. And I was like, I know. And I'm like, so
getting flirted with is still great. You know what I mean?
Like, I feel so. I'm like, I hope you get flirted with. I was like, if no one's flirting with you, we have to talk.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, what did you do?
Other people to also see what I'm seeing. You know what I mean?
I'm like, you be confident in yourself without me. Yeah. Knowing that you getting that attention, I have all of it. Like, I own that attention. Those people just are like looking in a way, like at the zoo. They're
like ultimately, he's coming back with you, right?
Yeah, I'm like, we pay rent together, we live together, you sleep in my bed every night. Like, I'm like, you see these people out one time, then you'll never see them again. Like, what? They got feast your eyes. He's leaving in 2 hours.
Right,
like
so
the Uber will be ordered.
Especially the queer community. It's almost expected that you're in a polyamorous relationship.
I'm so glad you just said that, because I had a thought in my head, and it was when me and Justin first started dating. We hadn't even been dating for a month yet. Yeah. And everybody was so happy for us, like all of our friends, because we posted about it. Right. And I had a few friends come up to me, and like we were just like hanging out like normal, and then they said something like, oh, you guys are open though, right? And I was like, no. I was like,
why
no.
Is that your first question?
Yeah, I was like, wait, I'm not understanding like why you're asking that. And they're like, well, why wouldn't you guys? Because you guys are both really young, and like you guys like have a lot of time, and like, right. And I was like, why would I be with him then if I have so much time? I'm like, we could wait for each other then. Like, why would we lock each other down to be like, okay, now we have each other, let's go do other things? Like, to me, the reason we found each other is because we spent so much time together, and we really enjoyed just each other. Right, right. And it made us realize like there was people we were meeting out that we weren't actually enjoying, but like because of the heat of WeHo or like the heat of going out in gay culture, like we thought those were the people we wanted to be with, or like, and it just wasn't. So when people would ask me that, I'm like, why is that your first thing other than to be like, so happy for you guys? Yeah. Why does it have to be about that? And one person who I'm no longer friends with anymore literally said to me verbatim, oh, don't worry, like, you guys will be open soon.
That's wild.
And I was like, that's insane to say to me, because it's like, do you want me to be open? Like, did you have some feelings that aren't? And like, I'm not like saying I'm the most good looking person ever, but it's like crazy to me that when you get into a relationship, the things that people will say and do.
No, absolutely. It's almost where people don't want to see you happy all the time. Yes. And especially people who you might think that are friends, that you turn out, okay, well, maybe these weren't actual friends or real friends. I do think it's something that the queer community could be better at. In general, just because you know everybody's different, right? Everyone's on different journeys, as you said before. But you know, the history of the LGBTQ community comes from us not being able to express sexual liberation. I think it's okay to be in either form of relationship. But I think having that discussion and like being communicative with your partner ahead of time, so there's no pain or hurt. I think that that's so important. And it's very important for queer relationships, because everyone's all over the board.
But as I've met and become friends with more people who are very like openly like sexual and just like love talking about it, I've gotten so much more comfortable with myself.
That's
because
great.
It doesn't make me feel weird.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, this is a normal thing. Same thing with like open relationships relationships, like when people talk about it now, it's like almost like, oh yeah. Like, yeah, I get it. Like, it's not like, what?
Yeah.
An open relationship?
Yeah, it's not
like,
taboo.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter once you learn. I think a lot of people need to be educated still, but like.
Well, I think that's also the beautiful thing about social media, and we'll jump kind of into that too, is social media has a bad reputation and there's a lot of connotations, there's a lot of backlash, but in a lot of ways it also creates for new dialogue and new conversations that people have never been exposed to before. And I think that is some of the beautiful thing that the LGBTQ community is always doing, is sharing their stories, sharing their most authentic selves, and showing up in the world just like everyone else. And it creates that normal response. People start to be like, oh, okay, well, you're bisexual, but you're also doing other things. It's not your whole identity, right?
Yes.
And so I think that is one of the amazing things about content creation and being so vocal on the internet. But I mean, speaking of content, where did that journey begin with you?
Every class that I did, I had studio classes, they were called. So each of those classes, I think I had one every year.
Yeah.
That required me to be on camera at some point. Usually, like, the first class was focusing on, like, the other positions, like being a director, but someone had to be a host or someone had to be on camera to help the other people learn.
Yeah.
And when I did that, I was like, wait, I like this. Like, I do want to be on TV, or I do want to be in front of the camera. I wasn't doing videos yet.
Okay.
And then every year I had a class where I had to do some sort of on-air, and I would try to push to be the on-air person, even if I wasn't good. Like, I was bad.
Okay.
Like, I was really bad. And I remember taking a class, and it was like one of the tests was on-air news.
Okay.
And essentially I just had to write news stories, so I wrote pop culture news stories. And I was like, okay, so pop culture is really tying in here. Like, and they were testing me on, I had to be able to read a prompter.
Okay.
I had to be able to keep going in the story if the prompter went out. And I had to be able to adapt to what was going around in the studio.
Okay.
So there's a clip, I've posted it, where they actually I was talking about Britney Spears. And I'm doing good, but like, I'm reading good, but I'm clearly not a news person. Like, I'm more entertainment, like fun, and like this was very direct. Like, oh, Britney Spears is getting sued by Kevin Federline, whatever.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And someone in the class was told by my professor over the headset, which I can't hear, yell, "It's Britney, bitch." I laughed for 5 minutes straight, missed my whole story.
No.
My friend who was with me had to go, so they cut to him, and he couldn't even get through his story. He's like, "You need to shut up." Like, he said that on camera. He's like, "Shut up." And he kept laughing too.
Stop.
And I was like, yeah, this is something I want to do. Anyways, fast forward. I then, in the pandemic, posted one TikTok video. I was posting TikToks around my office when I was like working at Paramount.
Okay.
And they were fun, and I was doing filters. But then I posted a celebrity roast.
Yes.
On TikTok, not knowing like what would happen. I was like, oh, this will be fun, whatever. Woke up to 5 million views. And I'm like, what? I was like, what is happening? I was like, oh my God, as my office just shut down.
Yeah.
I go downstairs to my mom. I'm like, I have like 5 million views. She goes, 5 million? Like, to us, we couldn't fathom that number.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
The video got taken down. I reposted it.
Okay.
It got like another 5 million within like hours. So like people resaw the video. And then I made that a whole series. And then I started doing this full time. And
wow.
I kept working at Paramount. I kept doing all that. But yeah, it was one video that like caught fire. It was insane.
And then you were just like, yeah, I can do this.
Because I actually remember I auditioned my freshman year for the entertainment news show because my school had a TV station.
Yeah.
It was called Entertainment Exclusive. And I auditioned to be one of the hosts. And I remember going in, I knew the people. Like, I had a class with one of them. One of them was my TA. So I was like, oh, I'm comfortable. I thought I was comfortable. I'm sweating. And now I'm in front of these big cameras. They're in the control room. I'm alone.
Yeah.
It's quiet. And I'll never forget this. I got this nervous shake in my leg. And I was standing. And I could just feel it. And I felt I like thought about it. Wow, that was the most uncomfortable and embarrassing feeling I've ever had in my life. But because I couldn't stop it. Yeah. Usually, like, when your leg shakes, you can kind of stop it. Oh my God.
It was like a tremor.
I thought I thought I was having a stroke. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to die. And I left and I was like, yeah, I'm not getting that. I never was on camera at my school.
No.
Ever. I always did the back end. I was producing, I was directing. And then I started doing on camera stuff now. And now that I think of it, I'm like, I would have been good at this in college if I had more practice.
Yeah.
Like, if I took more time, like, being on camera just on my phone, I could do as much or as little as I wanted to. Yeah. And now I'm like, every video I make is like over 2 to 3 minutes. And I'm making 20-minute videos like of me just talking. And you would never think me then would be doing that now.
Wow. That's, I mean, it's incredible. And now you have, 2.4 million followers on TikTok. You have 150,000 on Threads. You have I mean, so many on YouTube, on Instagram, you're about to hit 200K. So it's roughly around 3 million, right?
I think it's closing in on 4
million
which is
now.
Insane.
Incredible. First off, congratulations. That's incredible. I mean, you're amazing and it makes sense. But it's also, you know, I love to talk about this because a lot of times, you know, as content creators, we're like, don't worry about the numbers, don't worry about, but yes, I understand that. But when you think about it, almost 4 million people is the population of some major cities.
Yeah, that actively chose me.
Yeah.
Even if they're not seeing everything that I post, like
right.
at one point they all actively chose me.
Right. It's fascinating and it's amazing. It shows the value of what you bring to your audience. You bring people joy all the time, which is amazing. And, you know, a lot of your content is like hot takes, your opinions. How do you know what is good enough for like a hot take? How do you know what to choose and what not to choose?
They're not planned. Everything that I usually say that's a hot take is something that I had just seen. And like, for example, I think I was at the gym or something and I was like reading or I saw someone do something.
Yeah.
And in my mind, I had a thought and I was like, oh, I'm making that a video. And I wrote it down because I'm like, it's just my everyday experiences that like require, or something that I'm going through. Like I posted something today, like, because I hate when people assume that someone don't like them. And I'm like, do they hate you or do they just not know you?
Right.
And that was like a hot take I had. I'm like, it's not that they hate you. It's that they actually don't even know who you are.
Wait.
Like, that's it. Like,
spot on.
Do you even know this person? Do they know your eye color? Do they know your mom's name? No. Then they don't hate you. They don't know you. Like, that's just it.
Period. Did
and
you
like,
hear that?
those are things I truly just pull out of thin air.
Yeah.
Or like I read something, or I wouldn't say like I've had videos where like sometimes like I'll have an iteration of something that people say, but I'll never like directly copy a hot take that someone has. But I'm like, I love that. Snowballing off of that, I also think this.
No, I remember when we were in Sydney and at World Pride, we would be talking, we'd all be hanging out, and we'd all be talking about something random in Sydney, or maybe Vegemite, or maybe the huntsman spiders, the big ones, and you'd be like, ooh, and you'd write it down.
And that reposting
2 hours
those.
later, I would see you making a whole video, a hot take on it, and I was like, the fact that you were just able to write that down, and then like 2 hours later, there's a whole video on it, hits millions of views, and I'm like, that is iconic. The fact that you can go about your day, you're just truly sharing your thoughts, and
it's my everyday, it's through my lens. Like I think
love it.
Those were such a great example because it was things I didn't know about Australia.
Right.
And I remember walking through and I'm like, why the fuck is the walking signal like a person jumping? Like, why isn't it just like a walk? It's like something weird. Why is public transportation only $1? Like, why are the huntsman spiders so big?
Yeah.
And why are people okay with it?
I think people are waiting to have those answers, actually, because
I would
still like to know the answers to why they're, when I say that they're this big.
And their babies are that big.
Oh.
So like imagine the mom. Like I would love to move to Australia, but once I see people
I thought you were
posting,
going to say I would have loved to have a pet.
No.
It's like, what? Well, has there ever been a hot take that you felt was maybe too controversial and you were just like, nah? Or you were like, fuck it, I'm going to post it anyways and just create conversation and create debate? Or
let me take y'all back. Let me take y'all back to 2020.
Circa 2020.
Circa 2020. I was a wee boy. I was in my mom's bathroom filming this, and I set up my camera and my tripod, and I had a little mini mic, and I was like, what can I say right now that would cause and ruffle some feathers? I looked dead into the camera, and I said, we should bully children. That was the opening line. Rage bait to the max. Like, I would never do this again. I was like, we should bully children.
I'm going to make this a social clip for Instagram, and it's just going to be that.
It's just over and over again, slow-mo. And I followed it up with, I think if children are being nasty to me as an adult, they have not earned my respect. Therefore, I can treat them nasty back.
Right.
And you thought I would have killed someone. You would have thought I committed a crime because I was on live. I posted that video and it was doing pretty well. Got like I think at this point it got 1 million views. But like the comments were very like, fuck them kids. Like, if a kid's mean to me, I'm going to smack it. Like, I was like people were saying crazy shit. I then reposted the video with a different saying, and I said, we should humble children.
Okay, yeah.
We should humble children.
It's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Because some smug little toddler is not going to make me feel like I'm inferior having lived more life than them. So we should humble children. Because children nowadays with their phones think that they are like the hottest thing since sliced bread, that they're invincible. No.
Yeah.
You can't just say some stupid shit to me and get away with it. You call me the F slur, oh, I'm going to say something back.
Yeah. No, I mean, you know what? Someone's got to do it.
Am I wrong? The first one, I totally get where the wording was wrong. Second one, humble your kids.
I feel like there's some truth here. And we can all learn from this experience. But wait, that is hilarious.
Yeah, so you would have thought I killed someone.
Oh my God. It's interesting, the backlash of social media. I feel like we all kind of go through it sometimes. I can post pictures of us fostering puppies and receive backlash. Like dead ass. People will be like, I can't believe you're just confusing these puppies. You're confusing them. You should never have adopted. And I'm like, do you want them to stay in a shelter? What can I do that's not going to piss you off? But what is something that you do whenever you feel like you've had backlash from a community, or do you just let it be, or do you address it typically?
When I first started out, I was less aware of other people in the world, because I think with COVID and also being just from my hometown, I was still very sheltered, and now I've experienced more.
Fair, yeah.
That when those things would happen, I would address them. I'd be responding to people in the comments. I'd be stitching people back.
Yeah, because it's easy to like catch a blood pressure, and I'll be like,
oh, I'd be on it. I'd be like, I thought I had Twitter fingers again when I was fighting with people from my high school.
Yeah.
Like, I would get into it with people because I was like, I'm not wrong. You're just taking it the wrong way. But then I also realized that what's wrong with that as well. So I started to listen to people. I also will now be better with certain videos that I make. I'm very PR. Like, I feel like I would be a good publicist now, because you have to acknowledge that you're wrong. Mm-hmm. I think if someone tells you you're wrong, most times you are wrong. Like, you might have offended someone, or you are just completely wrong. Like, sometimes I got a fact wrong one time, and someone was like, you're wrong. That didn't happen in this year. It happened in this year. Luckily, it's about entertainment news, so it's not that serious. Right. But there are people who get things wrong that actually matter politically, and they don't acknowledge it. Yeah. I first and foremost think you should always acknowledge it.
Yeah, and I think that's the best way to kind of, a lot of times, and I've learned this through working in the hospitality industry, a lot of times people will come to you with a problem just because they want to be heard. It's less about the problem itself, but more of like, hey, validate how I'm feeling. And a lot of times, like you said, if you acknowledge, hey, I take accountability, I probably could have said this different. Most times they're like, oh, okay, move on to the next person to be, upset about. But,
hey, I should have said this. Thanks for informing me.
Well, with the content creation, and I feel like the entertainment industry, they're starting to bring on more content creators in multiple different spaces. I go to the mall now, and I'm seeing influencers that I follow are the new models and like the clothing store windows, and I'm like, wow, that's amazing. Is there something that you want to step into more, publicist maybe, or do you want to do acting, hosting, more along the lines of taking your career not only just on social media but into other spaces and involving that more?
Yeah, hosting for sure.
Okay.
I think I've already done a lot of hosting, which is really nice. Like, I've hosted my own podcast. I've hosted 2 podcasts. I've done a lot of red carpet interviews with like a lot of reality stars. I've gotten to interview Kesha with Spotify. So it's like, I really thoroughly enjoy that. Mm-hmm. I think there's certain aspects to it that I would love to take further. So like more music interviews, more like traditional TV and film interviews. Like, I love the reality stars, but in order for reality star interviews to be successful, you have to only talk about what's going on within their shows. I don't think that's as fascinating to me. Mm-hmm. I think it's fascinating when I'm watching the shows, but like for Kesha, I wanted to know more about her.
Okay.
And like, what's coming next? Like, it didn't have to be about that day or a show that she was on.
Right.
I want to do more traditional hosting. I would love to be on a panel of some sort, whether that be like hosting like the E live from the red carpet before show, like to start.
Love it.
I do think it's getting a little bit harder. Mm-hmm. A lot of people would like to say it's getting easier because we are more welcomed as creators. I think it's getting harder because it does, in this sense, get clouded by numbers where not everybody's a host, but everybody has a following. So people want to leverage followings. Yeah. So I also think I don't have like a scarcity complex at all, where I think like if one person gets it, I won't get it. I think there are so many people opening doors for me, which I'm like I'm admiring what they do, because I'm like, yes, because of them, I will be able to do it next. Yeah. But I do think there's so many of us now that it's just like a revolving door of like, when's my turn to go through the door? Yeah. And you got to wait. It's a waiting game, and that's fine. Like, I waited all last year and I got a ton of carpet opportunities. Like, but in the meantime, I'm just perfecting my craft elsewhere.
I love it.
Talking, doing whatever.
Kind of putting your eggs in different baskets. And I think that's
I won't
brilliant.
Act. Yeah. I won't act.
You won't do it?
Not that I won't.
You said.
And not that I won't. I wouldn't say never. That's a lie.
Yeah.
In your movie or TV show, I'll be in it.
Call me. Here's
I think it needs to be like, I would love to be reached out to by someone who watches my content and is like, oh, he'd be good for this. Yeah. Whereas like I was getting reached out like, we need an influencer for this influencer role. And I'm like, okay, but I don't think I portray as an influencer where I'm like, here's your skincare. Or like, they want me to be a part of like essentially like the vlog squad.
Oh,
but it wasn't the vlog squad. It was like another type of thing like that. And I was like, but I'm not in that. I wouldn't lend myself well to that because I would make fun of it.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's what you want me to be, this stuck up content creator. And I'm not that.
Well, if I ever hear of a role, I'll be like, I got the perfect person for you. I'll let you know. Yeah.
Give me my lines.
You need to inflect.
I will inflect.
All right. So just completely off the track here, just a fun question to kind of wrap things up. If you were on a desert island with 3 celebrities, who would they be? Stranded. If you were stranded.
Okay. Beyonce.
Okay.
Because I think I love her. I think she's so funny. I think like all the memes we're getting of her, I'm like, okay, she has like a personality to her that we haven't seen yet. Gordon Ramsay, you gotta have somebody who can cook.
Yep.
And then I want to say Jeff Probst because I feel like he's the host of Survivor, so he should have some survivalist skills.
Okay.
He'll bring the flint and make the fire.
Okay.
He'll cook the rice. He'll get us some bamboo and coconuts. Like,
I love it.
I think we have a good team, and I think I'm pretty good. I think I'd be good on Survivor, so we'd have a good time.
Yeah, I think actually you're good. You have people that are going to be there for you.
Yeah.
Honestly, I would have been over here like Beyonce. You have entertainment, you have food, and you have someone to rub sticks together and build your thing.
Jeff can build the shelter.
Smart.
Gordon could cook the food,
and
then
smart.
Beyonce performs for us.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. I would, if you can tell everyone where to follow you and how they can connect with you more and follow your pop culture and everything else that's to come.
My burrito eating.
Yes, all the things.
You can follow me I'm on TikTok at Louis Levanti. I'm on Instagram at Louis Levanti. I'm on YouTube at Louis Levanti _ Don't worry, somebody took mine. And then I'm on Snapchat at Louis _ Levanti. And I post so many different things everywhere. So you'll get a little bit of something different.
A little bit of everything. So make sure you follow him on everything.
Get me that. Oh, Threads at Louis Levanti if you want to just... Right. That's my everyday thoughts. Oh my God, that's my everyday thoughts.
No, I follow you and I repost half the things you share.
Yeah.
So
it's like pop culture, then it's like me being like, I just fell down the stairs. Like...
I love it. It's like literally being with you all day long. So I'm here for it. Well, thank you so much for coming on. It was so amazing to learn more about you on and off camera. And I'm so happy to call you my best friend. And I love you so much.
And if I said anything incriminating, no, I didn't.
I'm actually going to put the bullying children as a social clip I'm doing.
Well, you need to rewatch this.
It's going to be the whole video.
But also, I love you so much. Thank you for letting me be the first guest.
Yes.
Like that, a huge honor. Like I'm honored.
I was like, Louis, I don't know how to do this, so you're coming to be with me so we can talk for hours. So.
Oh, she like sent me a really mean message. I was like, if you don't do this, I won't talk to you. No, I'm lying. I'm a liar.
Well, I love you.
I love you too.
And that's a wrap on this episode of She Comes With Baggage. If you love this conversation, please make sure to follow She Comes With Baggage on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube for more content and behind-the-scenes moments. And if you're tuning in on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or any other audio player, please don't forget to leave a review. I love hearing from you. Your support keeps these conversations going. And just remember, we all have more in common than we realize. Until next time.